Well, good morning, everyone. Rob Bonta, California Attorney General here. I'm excited today to be able to announce a issuance of a law enforcement bulletin that we are putting out today from the California Department of Justice. This is something that we do with some regularity, making sure that we are communicating clearly with our law enforcement partners up and down the state on new tools, new laws, clarifications of existing law to make sure we're all on the same page when it comes to the legal regime that governs our state and that impacts the very important work of our law enforcement community. And we are putting out a bulletin today that talks about 10 new laws that will that address organized retail crime in the state of California, that will provide more tools in the toolbox, more opportunities to push back against organized retail crime throughout the state, and help our law enforcement communities be even better and stronger than they already are when it comes to combating organized retail crime. I know many of you have followed the evolution of these laws as they move through the legislature and came to fruition on a signing day in San Jose, if I recall correctly, at a Home Depot, where the laws were signed into the bills were signed into law. But it is also important. I've learned, having been someone who's had the great honor and privilege of serving in the California State Legislature for 8.5 years and now being in the executive branch, that the laws that are passed, the laws that are signed, that they be enforced, that they be implemented, that they be used, that the vision that was had for them, for how they can be more helpful, add value, solve problems in California, that they actually be utilized. And so this is an important step in our humble opinion to make sure that the new tools that are coming online are top of mind for our law enforcement communities who are have organized retail crime top of mind and may have been struggling with some of the issues that these pieces of legislation address, things like repeat offenders, things like aggregation of when there are multiple thefts, things like addressing multi-jurisdictional thefts, things like arresting someone who is likely to have convicted a misdemeanor when it's not in the presence of a law enforcement officer. So I am really grateful for the legislature, our governor. I had the opportunity to participate as a supporter of many of the bills for the awareness and reflection of the existing law, the ways to improve, listening to our law enforcement community to make sure that they had all the tools that are necessary. And so this is a very important set of laws. And I want to say thank you for the collaboration. When it comes to statewide challenges like organized retail crime, it takes all of us to combat it. We need to work together, have each other's back, work side by side. The CHP task force, and we have some incredible CHP leaders and members here, is proof positive of what collaboration can accomplish. They have been leading, and we've been proud to be part of the task force on multiple investigations, arrests, busts, takedowns, holding folks accountable, and ending organized retail crime in many parts of our state. So more to come for sure, but I wouldn't be able to announce this bulletin without the great work of the governor, the CHP, law enforcement partners, the legislature as well. And I want to be very clear that we hear loud and clear the concerns, the worry, the anxiety, the outcry from Californians who are fed up with organized retail crime in their communities. We do not think it's appropriate for customers to worry or be concerned when they go into their favorite retail outlet, for workers when they show up for work and clock in to be concerned about their safety, and for business owners who are just trying to have a successful business and make things work and be able to get home at the end of the day with a good day's work, for them to worry about what might happen in the middle of the day or at night when it comes to their retail establishment and the safety of their goods and the people that they employ. So we agree. We are fed up as well. We have had enough with organized retail crime, and that's why we're pushing back with these laws, making sure that all the tools are in the tool belt in the toolbox, and that they can be deployed as appropriate from our law enforcement team throughout the state. And so this is what it looks like to follow through, to implement the tools that have been provided to our law enforcement members. And with this announcement today, we are making it very clear that if you decide to engage in organized retail crime, if you break these laws, you will be held accountable. We will hold you accountable. We will arrest you. We will make sure that under the law you are prosecuted pursuant to these laws. So I want to get into these laws a little bit, but I do want to just say that the bulletin coming now in mid-October, these bills are coming online in a short 2.5 months. And so this gives an opportunity for all of them except for one, which passed with an urgency clause, and I'll talk about that one. This gives an opportunity for law enforcement agencies and departments to plan, to get their resources and teams in order, to strategize, to identify the ways they're going to deploy these tools once they become the law of the state of California. So let's get into some of these important changes. One of the I'll first say high level, these 10 laws address gaps that made it more difficult for law enforcement and prosecutors to bring perpetrators to justice. And so it closes those gaps. It is sensitive to the concerns and feedback that we were getting on the ground from our law enforcement, and it fills those gaps and makes the set of tools stronger. The bulletin highlights each of the 10 new tools. The one that already went into effect that I alluded to earlier is the law that ensures that law enforcement has the support they need when it comes to combating cargo theft, which we've seen unfortunately on our railroads and with in the goods movement space. The other 9, as I mentioned, go into effect in January. They include stricter penalties for individuals involved in organized retail schemes. There are mandated sentencing enhancements based on the amount of retail goods stolen. They include enhanced felony charges where appropriate, again, based on the amount. And there's a scale and a schedule where the enhancements are triggered. We're ensuring that police who didn't witness the crime can still arrest suspects involved in these schemes when there's probable cause, when there is good indicia of reliability, a sworn witness statement, surveillance video, for example. We're ensuring that prosecutors can combine the aggregate value of stolen items to reach that threshold of $950 that exists here in California, the 10th strictest threshold in the nation. And with that aggregation, it can allow for the prosecution of felonies as appropriate if the amount goes above $950. Of course, below $950, you can still prosecute as misdemeanors, typically with up to 6 months in jail as a penalty. We've also seen the videos on the news or posted on social media, too many instances of perpetrators just brazenly ransacking retail stores, flash mob style, moving in to retail stores, removing goods up and down different parts of the state, of course, happening in other states as well. And that's why there's another provision in this set of 10 laws that specifically cracks down on smash and grabs by establishing mandatory sentencing enhancements for taking or damaging or destroying property when it goes above $50,000. There have also been really critical organized retail crime statutes that were on the verge of expiring and sunsetting, and that sunset date for those organized retail crime statutes and the attendant task forces and diversion programs have been removed. And so they, instead of expiring in January of 2026, they will continue to be effective and operative as we move forward into the future. We're also adding increased penalties for car break-ins and auto theft, whether the door is locked or not. And so in sum, it's for perpetrators who are looking to skirt our laws and exploit potential loopholes, those days are over. Those loopholes are closed, and this is a stronger set of laws to help combat organized retail crime. This bulletin is just one example of our work that fits into a greater context of work that we've been doing for multiple years when it comes to organized retail crime. And just as a look back at this year, current calendar year that we're in, this year alone we've charged 22 suspects with felonies for their alleged involvement in an organized retail crime, burglary, conspiracy, and grand theft. Crimes carried out at cannabis retail stores. That spanned 9 different counties with over $1 million in losses. We earlier this year announced 27 felony charges against 3 suspects engaged in organized retail crime and robbery. grand theft carried out at many high-end retail stores throughout the state of California. Many of you recall that we filed charges against a suspect for running an organized retail crime operation out of her house that targeted Ulta and Sephora, other retailers, impacting 21 California counties, causing an estimated loss of $8 million. Those are just examples of some of the important investigations and busts and takedowns that we've been involved in. And we're proud to have been involved in those. I know CHP has been involved in many of those as well as others, and we'll continue to investigate and prosecute organized retail crime until we put a stop to this organized criminal activity altogether. So I've said before, I'll say again, organized retail crime will not be tolerated in California. These laws are proof positive. The action, collective aggregated action of those up here, both in the governor's office and CHP and my team, are proof positive. What they're doing in LA and across the state also proof positive. We're going to protect our businesses, protect our customers, protect our workers. It's estimated that the average family will be hit with more than $500 annually in additional costs due to the impact of organized retail crime. And goes without saying, that is unacceptable. That is not something we can or will accept, and that's why we're pushing back so hard. California families and businesses shouldn't have to pay for the misdeeds of others. It's hard enough to cover all the costs that California families are working to cover now. Every form of retail crime disrupts the supply chain, hurts retailers and businesses, and puts the public at risk. This bulletin will arm law enforcement in their continued efforts to protect our communities and businesses and to hold perpetrators accountable. So as AG, we'll continue to lean in, marshal our resources, bring the full authority and weight of our office to combat and take on organized retail crime throughout the state of California. And to all those running organized schemes in California, I want you to hear us loud and clear that if you ransack our stores, if you endanger our workers and our communities, if you attack our people, we will come for you. We will use these laws. We will hold you accountable for your misdeeds, your criminal activity. And I want to say thank you for the opportunity to share this important bulletin, and also want to provide an opportunity for a great leader when it comes to law enforcement generally and tackling organized retail crime specifically to say a few words. CHP Valley Division's Assistant Chief Josh Ellers.
Thank you, Mr. Attorney General.
Thank you, Chief.
Good morning, everyone. As the Attorney General mentioned, I'm Josh Ellers. I'm an Assistant Chief with the CHP. As we all know, organized retail crime is a rising threat to public safety throughout California, and it's a threat to our economy. It's not just shoplifting. It's a sophisticated, coordinated effort by criminal enterprises that can have a detrimental impact on our businesses, consumers, and the California communities that we're protecting on a daily basis. Recognizing that concern many years ago, state law was put into place to enable the CHP to coordinate with the Department of Justice and establish what is known as the Organized Retail Crime Task Force. The CHP has dedicated task forces in place throughout the state that have successfully dismantled several criminal enterprises on a very large scale. Additionally, we've made record progress since the inception of these task forces. Since 2019, we have recovered over $46 million worth of stolen merchandise, and we've helped apprehend more than 3,000 criminals and individuals who we believed were involved in this enterprise. While our relentless pursuit of organized retail crime continues to yield results, we owe a big part of this success to our partners at the California Department of Justice, our existing partnerships with our allied agencies, loss prevention experts, and retailers throughout our communities. The CHP appreciates the support of Governor Gavin Newsom, the legislators, Attorney General Bonta, and all of our law enforcement partners throughout the state for their dedication in addressing this problem. We're committed to working together to fully enforce these new laws, and we're optimistic about reducing organized retail crime throughout California. Thank you.
Well, thank you again. We're proud of the collaboration up and down the state with law enforcement departments and agencies. We will continue to lean in, work hard for the people of California. The 10 laws that we're highlighting today in our law enforcement bulletin are important tools that will be used going forward. And so with that, happy to answer any questions, and thank you for being here.
Mr. Attorney General, the 10 laws that you're talking this legislation. Just to clarify, are you against property? I don't expect you to campaign here, but are you against Proposition 36 as the state's Attorney General?
So I'll say this, a couple things. I'm very supportive of these 10 laws. That has been something that has been clear from my participation in the legislative process and my support of the bills publicly, as well as my attendance at a number of the press conferences announcing them and their signing. We do the title and summary at the California Department of Justice for our propositions. And it's our job and commitment to be accurate and clear and fair in our representations. So that is our focus, and because that is our role that we have, I generally have not gotten involved in any official support for or against propositions that are on the ballot. I will say that I'm grateful and want to thank and appreciate the legislature for not waiting for a proposition to go before the people that may or may not pass to take action. Their job is to take action to solve problems for the state of California. They've done that with these 10 laws, so I appreciate that very much. And then for folks who are considering their position on Prop 36, I just highly suggest that you read it and understand all its repercussions, consequences, and what it does and doesn't do.
When you were in the legislature, though, actually the pieces of Proposition 36 were they had been proposed and attempted and for years ignored. And in fact, some of the legislation that you're rattling off today was also proposed and ignored by the legislature when you were in there. I mean, I don't know that the legislature really acted that quickly to address some of the concerns from Californians. I mean, should have the legislature and governor really listen to the public on what it was they were asking for before it got to this point where we have these competing measures and Prop 36 now on the ballot?
I think what's important is that the laws are in place now. They're tools that can be used by law enforcement, and it was a major push from both houses and the governor to get them passed and signed and on the books. I think that's a real accomplishment and really moved the needle when it comes to organized retail crime. When it comes to some of the things in the package, like the organized retail crime statute, that's been in place for years. Was about to sunset, thus the need to prevent it from sunsetting. So that was an act that was committed in terms of a contribution, a law that helps combat and confront organized retail crime years ago. And I think there was great support. I'll have to go back and see what my vote was, but pretty confident I supported that. At that time, I was also supportive of some of the laws that were passed that allowed for crimes that were committed across jurisdictions to be prosecuted in one case by my office, and now with the new law, it allows county district attorneys to do so with the consent of the other DAs from the other counties. And so that was done before as well. So I don't know that there were things that you can say for all of the 10 laws, maybe some, that none were addressed in the past and they're just now being addressed. I think it's a continuum where there was different contributions over time and now a sort of culmination of a broader package to get passed. So I appreciate that the package is passed now. It's important now. There's no time like the present, and they will be great tools in addressing organized retail crime.
My last one, will you send the same bulletin if Proposition 36 passes?
Yes. Well, I mean, not the same. I'll send a bulletin that reflects the law as it stands, based on whatever is passed with Prop 36. And it'll be interesting because when it comes to the organized retail crime aspects of Prop 36, and Prop 36 has sort of two buckets of policy areas. One is organized retail crime, another is drugs. But when it comes to organized retail crime, this package of legislation goes beyond what Prop 36 is proposing. There are some areas where there's overlap. And so with the bills in place, and if Prop 36 passes, there will be, I think, an important need to clarify what's operative, what's in play, what tools can be used, what not, and we'll be more than happy to provide that clarity given our chief law enforcement role.
Do you feel that, as an Attorney General, do you feel that the $950 threshold is too high? And compared to other states where their threshold is only $250, People are being charged with grand theft and grand larceny in other states for that amount. But here, people feel that threshold is too high.
Yeah, I've opined on this in the past, and I'll do it again here. First, I'll say there is nothing in Prop 36 that addresses the threshold of $950. It does not address that issue at all. The $950 threshold in California, when you look at a comparison of all the states, it is one of the strictest of all states. It is one of the lowest. I think it's the 10th lowest of all the states. So 40 states have thresholds that are higher than California's. Texas has a threshold at $2,500, meaning you can steal $2,499. You can steal $2,000 worth of product from a retail store. You can steal $1,500. You can steal $1,000, and it's all a misdemeanor. So we are far more strict than Texas. We are more strict than 40 states. I don't think the threshold is a real issue here. I am open to evidence. I'm interested in arguments and studies that could change my mind, and happy to have my mind changed if that's what the evidence suggests. But having one of the strictest in the state, one of the strictest thresholds in the nation, and of course just a reminder that misdemeanors are crimes. Misdemeanors are crimes. Misdemeanors are crimes. So for under $950, if you steal it, that amount of money, you are committing a crime, punishable by a misdemeanor, typically up to 6 months in jail. There is accountability connected with thefts under $950. We always have had, and we always will have, both misdemeanors and felonies, and there will be some distinction between them. In California, the voters have chosen it to be $950, and that is not up for a debate or a change in this year's election with the current propositions. Any other questions? Thank you for joining me today, and us. Thank you.